I am 58 years old, and there is something sitting on the nightstand next to my bed that is destroying me more than the funeral ever did. It's a bottle of hand lotion, half used, lavender. The cap is still slightly loose because she never pressed it all the way down. She had this habit, this tiny little thing that used to annoy me. She'd pump the lotion, rub it into her hands, and just leave the cap sitting there, barely twisted on. I used to nudge it closed behind her without saying anything. Now I can't bring myself to touch it. That bottle has been sitting in the same spot for 6 weeks. There's a faint ring stain on the wood underneath it from where it's lived for years. And some mornings when the light comes through the blinds just right, and the room is so quiet I can hear the clock on the wall ticking, like it's counting down something I don't want to face, I catch a trace of lavender in the air. Just a trace. Just enough to gut me. The bedroom smells like stale coffee now. That's what's replaced her. I leave mugs on the dresser because there's nobody to roll her eyes about it anymore. The whole room smells like a man who stopped caring about a room. And then, underneath it, this faint whisper of lavender that stops me cold in the middle of getting dressed. I need you to listen to me carefully. Right now, today, wherever you are making a mistake. The same mistake I made. And you will not get a warning. You will not get a second chance. You won't even get a dramatic moment where you realize it's happening. It'll just be over. And you'll be sitting on the edge of an unmade bed at 58 years old, staring at a bottle of lotion, wondering how something so small can hold so much pain. Let me tell you how I got here. I was married for 33 years. 33 years. And I need you to understand something. I was not a bad husband. I never cheated. I never raised my hand. I never disappeared for days or drank the mortgage away. I showed up. I provided. I mowed the lawn on Saturdays, and I fixed the leaky faucet, and I sat at every single holiday dinner for 3 decades. By every measurable standard the world gives you, I was a good husband. And that's exactly the lie that ruined me. I believed that because I was present in the house, I was present in the marriage. I believed that showing up was the same thing as paying attention. I confused being in the room with being in the moment. And I told myself, every single day without ever saying it out loud, she'll be here tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. There's always next weekend. There's always next anniversary to really make it special. You know what I remember about our evenings? I remember the back of a laptop screen. I remember the sound of her voice saying things I categorized as unimportant. She'd come into the living room and tell me about a woman at the grocery store who said something funny, and I'd nod. She'd tell me she was thinking about rearranging the living room, and I'd say, "Sure, babe, whatever you want." She'd tell me about a recipe she wanted to try, and I would say, without looking up from my inbox. Always the inbox, always something on a screen that felt more urgent than the woman standing in front of me, holding a cup of tea, just wanting to be heard. She used to hum when she cooked. Did you know that? This woman I spent 33 years with, she hummed in the kitchen every single evening. Little melodies, nothing I recognized. Sometimes she'd sway a little at the stove. I walked past that 1,000 times. 1,000 times I walked through the kitchen and heard that humming and treated it like furniture, like the sound the refrigerator makes, like background noise. The kitchen is silent now. I want you to understand what that silence sounds like. It sounds like a verdict. I stand in that kitchen and the only sound is my own footsteps, echoing off tile that used to be warm with her moving across it in those ridiculous slippers she wore, the ones with the worn-out soles that made this soft shuffling sound on the hardwood. I used to hear that shuffle and think nothing, less than nothing. Now I would sell everything I owned to hear it one more time coming down the hallway. There's one plate in the drying rack now. One. I wash it, I dry it, I use it again. Same plate, same fork. And every time I set it down on that empty counter, I think about how full this house used to be with a life I treated like it was ordinary. Because it was ordinary. That's the thing that's killing me. It was ordinary, and ordinary was everything. I just didn't know it. Now let me tell you about the night that haunts me. Not the night she died, not the hospital, not the funeral. Those were terrible, yes, but those aren't what wake me up at 3 in the morning with my chest so tight I think I'm dying too. It was a Thursday. A nothing Thursday. 3 weeks before the diagnosis that started the clock none of us knew was already ticking. I was in bed, propped up against the headboard, glasses on, phone in my hand. I was reading box scores. Box scores. Baseball stats for teams I barely cared about. And she came out of the bathroom in that cotton robe she'd had for years, the blue one with the fraying belt. She sat down on her side of the bed the way she had 10,000 times before. She reached over to the nightstand and pumped that lotion into her palm. 2 pumps. She always did 2 pumps. And she started rubbing it into her hands, slowly, working it between her fingers, across her knuckles, around her wrists. She did this every single night for years. And the lavender would fill the space between us like something holy that I was too blind to recognize. She started talking. I remember that she started talking because I remember the sound of her voice. But I need to be honest with you. I don't remember what she said. I think it was about a woman in her book club. Linda, maybe. Or Diane. Someone said something and she had a thought about it. And she was sharing that thought with me the way she'd shared 1,000 thoughts with me in that bed. Ordinary words. The kind of words that make up a life when nobody's performing. When nobody's trying to be impressive. When 2 people are just existing next to each other at the end of a long day. I gave her nothing. I gave her, I gave her, yeah. I gave her, sure. I didn't look up, not once. My eyes stayed on that screen. Baseball stats. Numbers that meant absolutely nothing, given priority over the voice of a woman who meant absolutely everything. And I was too comfortable to notice the difference. She said something else. Something about wanting to visit her sister in April. She mentioned a trip. A weekend, maybe. She was making plans. She was building a future out loud while I scrolled past it. And then she got quiet. I remember the quiet because the quiet was different. It had a weight to it. She paused, and the room changed, and I felt her looking at me. She said, "You're not really listening, are you?" And I looked up. I looked up the way you look up when you've been caught, but you don't think it matters. I smiled. Not a real smile, a dismissive one, a patronizing one. The kind of smile that says, "I love you, but this isn't important enough for my full attention." And I said, "I am, babe." I wasn't. She looked at me for another second. I don't know what was in her eyes because I'd already looked back down at my phone. I heard her reach over and click off her lamp. I heard the soft click of the lotion cap as she set it back on the nightstand. Not pressed down all the way. Never all the way. And then I heard her breathing change the way it did when she was settling into sleep. She pulled the covers up. She turned on her side, away from me. The lavender hung in the air between us. It was the most beautiful, sacred, irreplaceable moment of my entire life, and I missed it completely. I missed it because I thought it was ordinary. I thought there'd be another one just like it tomorrow night, and the night after that, and the night after that. 1,000 more nights of her rubbing lotion into her hands and telling me things that didn't seem important. I had a bottomless supply. That's what I believed. 3 weeks later, she was in a hospital bed with tubes in her arms, and the fluorescent lights were buzzing overhead, and suddenly every conversation was important. Suddenly I was leaning in, holding her hand, desperate to hear every word. But those words were different. Those words were medical terms and treatment options and odds expressed as percentages. Those weren't the words I wanted. I wanted the book club story. I wanted to know what Linda said, or Diane. I wanted to hear about the trip to her sister's in April. I wanted the ordinary back, and it was gone. It was gone forever, and it had left the room so quietly I never even heard the door close. She never told me how that story ended. I will die not knowing. That was 6 weeks ago. The funeral's been over for a month. People have stopped calling. The casseroles stopped showing up on the porch 2 weeks ago. The world moved on the way the world does, and now it's just me in this bedroom with a half-used bottle of lavender hand lotion that I cannot throw away. It hasn't moved. Not 1 inch. It sits right there on her nightstand in that little ring stain on the wood. I walk past it in the morning. I see it when I get into bed at night. That loose cap staring at me like an accusation I can't answer. Some mornings I'll catch that lavender in the air, and for 1/2 second, for one cruel, beautiful half second, my chest fills up and I think she's still here. I think I'm going to roll over and see her sleeping on her side with her hands tucked under the pillow, the lotion still glistening on her knuckles. And then the second passes, and the bed is empty, and the room is cold, and I am so alone that the silence has a sound, and the sound is unbearable. I eat dinner by myself now. You want to know what that's like? It's sitting at a table built for 4 with 1 plate and no sound except the refrigerator cycling on and off. It's chewing and swallowing and not tasting anything because food is just a task now. She used to sit across from me. She used to ask me about my day. I used to give her short answers. One night, about 2 weeks ago, I did something I can't explain. I walked over to her nightstand and I picked up that bottle and I pumped lotion into my own hands. I just wanted to feel what she felt. I wanted the lavender on my skin. I wanted to close my eyes and pretend she was there in that blue robe telling me something I should have listened to. I got about 3 seconds into rubbing it between my fingers before I broke. I broke. I sobbed so hard my whole body shook and I dropped the bottle. It hit the floor and landed upright, standing straight up on the carpet, as if it refused to fall. As if she refused to let me off that easy. I picked it up, put it back in the ring. Haven't touched it since. Her indent in the mattress is fading. Did you know that happens? The place where someone slept for 33 years. It just slowly fills back in like they were never there. Her pillow stopped smelling like her shampoo about a week ago. But the lotion remains. The lotion is the last living trace of her in this room. And the bottle is almost empty. A few more pumps, maybe. That's all that's left. And when it's gone, the last piece of her that exists in this air, in this space, disappears. And I don't know how to survive that. Now I'm going to talk to you, not around you, not past you, to you. You're going to go home tonight. Or maybe you're already home. And your person, the one you love, the one you've built a life with, they're going to say something to you. Something ordinary. Something about their day. Something about the grocery list. Something about a neighbor or a friend or a show they watched. Something so mundane, so unremarkable, that every instinct in your body is going to tell you it's okay to half listen. Do not half listen. I am begging you from the bottom of whatever is left of me. Put the phone face down. Close the laptop. Look at them. Look at their hands. Look at the way they move, the way they push their hair back, the way they hold their coffee cup. Listen to their voice, not just the words, the voice, the tone, the breath between sentences. That is the sound of your life happening, and it will not make a sound when it leaves. That boring, ordinary Tuesday night you're so ready to skip past. That nothing conversation you think you'll have 1,000 more of. That is the one. That's the one you'll sell your soul to relive. That's the one that will haunt you in an empty bedroom at 3 in the morning while a clock ticks and a bottle of lotion gathers dust on a nightstand you can't bring yourself to clean. You don't get a warning. I didn't. She didn't grab me by the shoulders and say, "This is our last normal night. Pay attention." It just was. And then it was over. And she just stopped being there. And now all I have is a bottle that's running out, and a question I'll never get answered, and a silence so loud it's the only thing I hear. Don't wait. Don't assume. Don't you dare look at the person you love and think, "There's always tomorrow." There is a bottle of lavender lotion on my nightstand. The cap is still loose, and I would give everything, everything I have ever earned, everything I have ever built, for one more ordinary night where she rubs it into her hands and tells me something I should have listened to. But I can't have that, so I'm telling you instead. Go. Be there. Listen. Before the bottle runs out.